Hi, welcome. My name is Emma. I'm going to be guiding you through a yin yoga practice today. This is the first yin yoga sequence that I have put onto my YouTube channel. So I've been teaching it for 2 years, just over 2 years now. I just wanted to share a not a hugely long practice. I'm not sure how long it will end up being, but enough time to feel the benefits of our yin practice. It's going to be a calming, grounding practice. Yin, by its very nature, is a grounding, calming practice. But if you're in need of just taking a little time out, slowing down. For me, I find I tend towards yin in the evening, so afternoon, evening, when you feel like you just want to release your body, you just want to relax, you just want to slow down. Others prefer in the morning, so it really doesn't matter. It's whenever you feel that you want to find the benefits of the practice. So it differs from Hatha yoga, which is the other yoga that I teach, in the sense that we are seated, mostly seated or supine. For this practice, all the postures are going to be seated postures, or supine, which is laying down, so or actually on your back or on your front. The focus is slightly different, not really working with strength, we're not building heat in the body. The focus is to relaxation. It's a more mindful practice. We're going to be focusing on our breath. We're holding the postures for longer. We're thinking, in as much as we're stretching muscles, we're also placing more positive stress on the joints, on the ligaments, getting deeper into the body, into the fascia, into the connective tissue. I do have to say, obviously, you still need to be in good health. Any problems with any of the joints, if putting stress on any of the joints is going to be problematic for you, then as with any form of exercise, you need to make sure that it's okay for you to engage in this yin yoga practice. Just really for your safety. I do give alternatives. I do give options within the different postures. So you just do what you can. Okay, so I've got various props with me. In class, when I teach, obviously you need your mat. I tend to use blocks. Bolsters are quite expensive, so when we have a larger class, obviously it's too expensive and too heavy actually to bring a whole load of bolsters. So we tend to use blocks as our main props within class. So if you've been to my classes, my yin yoga class obviously in particular, you'll recognise the postures using the blocks. If you do have a bolster, this is perfect for a lot of the postures. This is a buckwheat filled bolster. It serves the same purpose in particular postures, just to help to open, support the body. They do tend to be a little bit pricey. I think they £35–40. It's an investment if you enjoy either a yin or a restorative practice. So once you've bought it obviously. And a blanket, as we do, it is a cooling practice. So if you feel cold, nice to use a blanket. Actually, if you don't have a bolster but you like the way that we use the bolster, what you can do is take two kind of thicker, not big fluffy blankets, but blankets a little bit harder, and you could take two, or a little bit longer, more width than this, and you could roll them up. So if you had two together, you'd have be more of the same size as the bolster. So now that we've gone through that, we're going to get through to our practice. Okay, so you can start seated, or you can come to laying. We're just going to focus on the breath first of all. I'll move these things out the way for now. We're just going to come down. We'll see. We're going to lay down. You can remain seated if you prefer. I think you can still see me. You're just allowing yourself to be comfortable, be warm. So you want to think about being warm throughout your practice. Just let your arms rest by your sides or on your belly if you prefer. We're going to come to a full yogic breath. So as I said, if you prefer to remain seated, it's perfectly fine to stay sitting. Nice way to start laying down though, especially if your aim is to relax. So we're just going to close the eyes, you're going to allow the body to soften, to relax. And just let your awareness come to your breath. So you're breathing in and out through the nose. Just following the natural flow of your breath to begin with. So just tuning into the natural flow of your breath. Obviously any issues, breathing in and out through the nose, just breathe through the mouth if you need to. The idea is just to let your mind follow the flow of the breath in and the flow of the breath out. And by focusing your mind on the flow of the breath, it's helping to calm the nervous system, tune into your breathing, and just to help you to slow right down. We're going to start to deepen. You may find you naturally start to deepen, lengthen the inhalation, so you're going to breathe in a little more deeply. And you're going to exhale for a little bit longer. Maybe the inhalation, the length of the inhalation matches the length of the exhalation. Maybe the exhalation is slightly longer. That would create a deeper feeling, sense of relaxation. So breathing in, lengthening the breath. Breathing out and extending the breath. So just continue to focus on your breathing. No need to look at the screen at all at this point. I'm just going to guide you. So just lay back, close the eyes, let your awareness, your focus stay with the breathing. We're going to bring this into our full yogic breath, 3-part breath. So you can have the hands by the sides, or you might find it helpful to take the hands onto the abdomen at this point. So you're going to breathe in and expand into the belly. So belly expands as you breathe in. Belly softens as you breathe out. Breathing in, belly expands. Breathing out, belly softens. I'm going to bring this up so that we're focusing our breath around the mid-chest, around the rib cage. Again, you can keep the arms by the sides or move the hands to just kind of lay comfortably over the ribs, mid-chest area. So breathing in, expanding into the mid-chest. Breathing out, softening. Breathing in, expanding. Breathing out, softening. Drawing the breath up to the top of the chest, so around the collarbones. Again, you can place the fingertips so they're just resting lightly, gently onto the collarbones. If you find that helpful, breathing in, directing the breath into the area around the collarbones. So the top of the breath, it might feel like a shallower breath. Exhale, softening. Breathing in, expanding. A small movement, doesn't matter if other parts of the belly or the ribs move, but just guiding, directing the breath to the upper chest collarbones. Exhale. And releasing. And then we're going to combine the 3 parts together. So again, place the hands wherever they're comfortable, belly, ribs, around the collarbones, or take them back to the sides as you wish, as you prefer. So we're going to join the 3 movements, breathing into the belly, drawing that up into the mid-chest area, top of the breath to the top of the chest. With the exhalation, release, soften around the belly, soften ribs, soften around the upper chest. And repeating the sequence, breathing into the belly, ribs, upper chest. Exhaling, softening belly, softening ribs, softening upper chest. And then just going at your own pace now. We'll just do this a couple more times. Let your mind stay with the movement of the breath through the body. Bottom, middle, top. Exhale, bottom, middle, top. Breathing more deeply, more effectively, using more full use of the lung capacity. And all the while calming the nervous system, lowering any stress hormones within the body. So just one more time. All the way to the top of the breath, all the way to the bottom of the breath. And then we'll release our full yogic breath Just come back to your natural way of breathing now. And then if you do feel very relaxed in the body, just wiggle the fingers, wiggle the toes. We're going to draw the knees towards the chest and give the knees a little bit of a hug. You can draw the head towards the knees if you wish, just if that feels nice. And then releasing down. We're just going to stay laying for the moment. We're going to take the arms to the side. So I haven't left myself much room here, so I'm just going to bring my arms to kind of right angles. If there's space to extend the arms, shoulder height and long lengthwise, then do. I'll just do this for now because of tightness of space. We're just going to allow the knees, keeping the shoulders grounded, so we're not rolling. We keep the back of the shoulders grounded, connected to the mat. Allow the knees come to one side. They might hover, they might release down. Breathe the knees back in again. Back to center. Exhale the knees to the other side. Again, the shoulders stay grounded. You feel a little bit of work around the core. Breathing the knees back to center. We're opening up the low back as well. Exhale, knees come to your right side. You can feel a lovely release through the low back. Head can relax in the opposite direction to the knees. Breathing in back to center. Exhaling over to the other side. So just a couple of times each side. Coming back to center. Giving the knees a little bit of a squeeze. Again, head can come to the knees if that feels good. And then we're going to come up to sitting. So you can either rock yourselves up, so you can rock yourself up to sitting, or you can come onto your side. That'll be kinder to your spine, so see how you feel. If you're rocking up, just crossing the feet at the ankles and then bringing yourself up to sitting. Okay, got myself a little bit tangled. Okay, so our first posture is going to be Anahata Asana. So this is melting heart pose. These should all be accessible to everybody. They're not overly strong poses. The strength or the depth of the pose really comes with the length of time that we're holding them. There are 4 principles in your yin practice. Obviously we're talking about it when we're doing the poses, but the first and the most important is to come to an appropriate depth. So you're playing your edges in the pose. You're not overstretching because we're holding the pose for longer. So that's another one of the principles, that we're holding the pose for a longer amount of time that we would do in our hatha practice. By staying in the pose for longer, we're allowing the muscles to soften. So that's another one of the principles, a third principle, that you allow the outer muscles to soften when you're in the pose, and equally that you are resolving to remain still. That doesn't mean if you're in a position and it hurts that you can't move. It means, once you've found a position that's comfortable, then you're resolving to stay in that pose for a little bit longer amount of time, and then you reap the benefits. The body softens and opens. So we'll get on to it. So we're going to come into melting heart pose. We're going to come into an all fours position. You're going to have your hips over your knees. So you're aiming for that kind of placement, alignment. You're coming down onto your forearm, so you may or may not want to use the blocks. So if you've got blocks, don't worry if you haven't, you don't have to use blocks. You're going to come onto your forearms. You might just be holding the insides of the elbows at this stage, allowing your head to come down to rest onto the forearms. Maybe the head is going to rest down to the mat. So hips still staying over the knees, head resting onto the forearms, or maybe down towards the mat. It's quite an open position for the shoulders. It's open heart pose. Obviously you're opening across the chest. This might be strong enough for you. If you feel that you can go a little deeper, you're just going to straighten the arms out. So the arms will be out straight, head towards the floor here. What this is doing, you're getting deeper into the shoulder stretch, so it won't be for everybody. It might feel too strong. It's a very open position for the low back and through the front of the chest as well. So you're just going to stay or come to the position that feels comfortable. Bearing in mind, and this is why one of the principles is just finding your edge, coming into the pose to an appropriate depth. Otherwise it's going to feel very strong very quickly and it will start to feel uncomfortable. So finding your position, So arms extended, hands to the insides of the elbows. If for any reason that's not strong enough, there is a way to advance it. You can take, if you've got blocks obviously, you can take your elbows onto the blocks, you bring your hands into prayer position, taking the hands behind the head, and this is going to open the chest more, this is going to open the shoulders more. Okay, so you're going to stay in the position. I'm going to come out for the time being. I'm going to time. I don't always time when I'm in class because I generally can see when people need to come out of the poses, but it is important to try to have or to stay in the position for a decent amount of time. So I think we're going to do, as this is the first in class that I'm putting onto the site, I'm just going to ease into it. So I'm going to hold the pose for about 2 minutes, and then it will let me know when the 2 minutes is up, and then we can ease out. Okay, 2 minutes might seem like a long time, it might not seem long enough, but it's a good start. So 2 to 5 minutes in any of the postures. 3 to 5. 3 is probably a little bit better, but we'll start with 2 for this because we're working deep into the shoulders, deep into the chest. So I'll come back into it with you. You're staying in your posture the whole time. I just want to be able to keep an eye on other things as well here. If you feel that it's too open for the low back, you can always sit back a little bit, so you can bring the bottom closer towards the heels. That will take the any strength out of the low back. Otherwise, just allow your body to sink into the posture. You're allowing gravity to take over, to help to open up the body. The outer muscles are softening. We go beyond stretching into the muscles, so we're stretching or releasing tension that are held in the fascia and the connective tissue. This is the way that it differs from our hatha practice. Continue to let the mind focus on the breath. Be aware of the breath flowing in, aware of the breath flowing out. It's a way of encouraging us to stay present. So by focusing on the breathing, by focusing on sensations within the postures, you're helping to keep the mind present. Just focusing on the here and now, you're moving from a state of doing to a state of being. You're just allowing yourself to stay in the moment. Okay? 2 minutes is almost up. I think from here, we're just going to take another couple of breaths. Be aware, just take a moment to notice how your body feels. So for some it's going to be low back that you're feeling the most. For some it's going to be shoulders. For others it's going to be a strong opening feeling around the chest. Just tuning into the way that feels, and then we're just going to ease ourselves out of the posture. So if your arms are extended, maybe bend them at the elbows. Coming onto the hands, pressing ourselves back into child's pose. So this is going to be our go-to resting pose. Options obviously within the posture. You can have that or keep the arms outstretched. Maybe you just want to rest them a little though, as we've been working into the shoulders. Maybe you take the head to the hands. Maybe the arms come by the sides of the body. So we're just going to take just a little bit of time here, a few breaths here. Very much a feeling of breathing into the upper back. So feel like you're expanding into the upper back. Okay. Be aware of the grounding nature of the pose, so you feel like you're sinking into the earth with each out breath. You can really let yourselves go. So just take a couple more breaths here. Be aware of the parts of the body touching the mat, so you can really feel the shins, the arms, the forehead, whichever parts of your body are in contact with the mat. Be really aware of those points of contact and use the out breath to sink a little bit more. Okay, one last breath, and then we're going to ease ourselves back to sitting. So you're just allowing yourselves to come gently back to sitting. Okay, you should already start to feel a little bit calmer. We're going to feel different postures to different degrees, so one person will find something strong, the next might not find it very strong at all, but there's always going to be different postures that are going to, you're going to kind of sit better with your body than others. So we're going to come into Sphinx. I always find this quite a challenging pose. It doesn't look like much, it doesn't look hard or challenging, and you might not feel it much at all, or you might feel it super strong. So we have, you know, different levels within my classes as to how people feel in this posture, but we'll set it up I'm just going to adjust the time that we're going to spend in the pose. I'll just move that out of the way. So we're going to come set up into Sphinx. So it's called Sphinx pose. You've got your start point is your elbows under your shoulders. Okay, if you have had the practice, you'll be used to this position. Can be considered a gentle position in Hatha, but because we spend a little bit more time here, it does start to get, certainly I find, it does start to get or feel quite strong. So this is a possibility. This already, because we're either increasing or decreasing the sacral lumbar arch. So this is where a lot of the feeling is going to come, and that's going to determine where you end up in the pose. So here, this might be okay. So you might stay here. You might come a little further forwards, so more of the belly is touching the mat. Again, you might even come further down. You just go with how your body feels. If you're not feeling much at all in this position, if you've got blocks, well, if you don't have blocks, you can come more into seal position. For me, I don't find this passive enough. In Yin, we're trying to find passive postures. Bring the body into a position where you're not holding it, but using the props, or you're allowing yourselves to relax. So for me personally, it's not to say that it's for the same for everybody. I find that I'm too active in this. This is seal, this is Sphinx, but this might be comfortable for you. If you have blocks, you can rest the forearms onto the blocks, and you might be able to see that obviously this is increasing the sacral lumbar arch, so it's making a deeper back bend, which for some people will be necessary to feel anything. If you don't have blocks but you want to increase the depth, again you've got the option of those rolled up blankets. Number 2 will probably work a bit better, which is obviously just one. If I bring my elbows onto it, again it's increased the arch a little. Okay, so I know it's taking a lot of time to get into the poses, but it's important to find the position, so that's the depth, the appropriate depth for you within the pose. So assuming somewhere within there's a comfortable position, knowing that you can come out of the pose before I'm saying come out of the pose, we're gonna start. So find what's comfortable for you. We're gonna be here 3 minutes. Should be enough. Should be comfortable enough. Again, if it starts to feel too strong, we just lay down, just come down, head to one side or onto the forehead. Okay, otherwise, assuming that you are comfortable, just find a comfortable position. So it's okay to sink into it if you feel to. The gaze can be forwards, you can take the gaze down. If you've got a block, maybe you can rest the head onto the block. And just finding your comfortable position, and then that resolve to remain still, one of our Yin principles, resolving to remain still, letting the outer muscles soften, feet can flop out to the sides, you can sink into the shoulders, head relaxes, and finding the stillness within the pose, your awareness come to the breath, and breathing mindfully with awareness, staying present. Let your awareness come to sensations within the pose, so be aware of what you're feeling. And always bring your Or bend your knees up maybe for the last minute or so. If that's not too strong, it will make it stronger. So if it feels too strong, don't do it. Just extend the legs out. The belly is getting heavy, the low back is opening. Allowing the body to rest, to be heavy, being aware of being grounded. Okay, so that's 3 minutes already. We're going to be I'm just going to pause this. We're going to come out very gently, so we're just going to allow ourselves to lay down. We're going to take the head either to one side or to rest the head onto the hands. Just take a moment, maybe wiggle the hips a little bit. These things up, we're going to come back a little bit. And a nice posture to do after Sphinx pose, just to release the low back. We're going to take the knee, so let's take the right knee up. So kind of right angles, or just whoever's comfortable. Head to one side, maybe the same side, it's quite nice. And just allow the whole body to relax. So you're letting the low back release, the hip releases, leg releases. Just feel yourself nice and grounded here. Just taking a few breaths. Again, the body is heavy. And letting the whole body relax. And then we're going to do the same to the other side. So we're going to bring that leg in. We're going to do the same to the other side. So you're bringing the other knee up. I just come and guide you. You're going to bring that other knee up. Exactly the same as you did to the first side. You're going to capture shape for the arm. Head is same direction as the knee is facing. And you're just going to, again, just sink into the ground. So really be aware of getting heavy through the body, allowing the body to be heavy, focusing on the breath. Relax the low back, the hip, the arms. You can almost, I could feel my heart beating, the pressing into the mat when I was laying down. So just staying here, focusing on the breathing. Be aware of sensations in the body, be aware of how it feels. And then you're going to gradually come back to center. So you're going to move the arms, the legs, coming back to a neutral position. We're going to take the hands under the shoulders or thereabouts. Going to ease really nice and slowly, pressing back. I think we'll come back just momentarily, really, a few breaths in child's pose. Bottom back towards the heels, it might not touch the heels. So for some, bottom will come towards the heels. For others, you might find yourself more in this position. Just find a position that's relaxing. So again, head to the hands, head to the mat. You really feel that nice release across the low back in particular. Taking a couple of breaths, you're really directing the breath into the upper back now. That's the most open space, so be aware of breathing into the upper back. And then we're going to come up to sitting, bring ourselves up to sitting. Okay. So from here we're going to come into caterpillar, forward fold, Paschimottanasana. You might know it as from our hatha practice, but we're holding the posture a little differently, and the alignment or the setup is slightly different in hatha. As always, lots of options within the pose. This can be a very strong stretch for the hamstrings, so the back of the legs, a very strong stretch for the spine as well. So it really is important to find what feels comfortable. This is why we've got the possibility of blocks. So when we're coming into, this is essentially where we're going to end up. So I'm not thinking, oh, I must touch my toes, I must get my head to my knees. That's not the point of it. The point is to relax into it. So I'm rounding my spine. I'm allowing myself to round my spine. I wouldn't do this in hatha. I would have a straight spine. It's okay to bend your knees slightly. You don't have to keep them straight. You can, but you want to soften in the pose. So as blanket or a block can come under the knees if that's helpful. So you could have the block here, or you could take a rolled up blanket to support under the knees, because it can start to feel quite strong. We're going to be slightly different depths, so you might find that you're here. You know, this might feel strong enough, you know, feeling it into your back of your legs. You might go a little deeper. You might have the forearms. You might rest the hands on the legs. Again, if you've got a block, maybe you rest the head onto the block. Just finding what feels helpful for you, what feels comfortable for you. So again, we're going to hold for about 3 minutes, I think, is when we're just focusing, when we're not doing alternate legs. 3 minutes is a nice length of time. Obviously you can come for longer. So find what is comfortable, what works for your body. You're connecting with your body. So allow yourselves to fold forwards to whatever degree, to however feels comfortable. I'm just adjusting myself to feel comfortable. You're finding again those principles, your appropriate edge. So you're not appropriate edge, appropriate depth. So you're the edge, playing with your edges. You're not all of a sudden doing this, because that will hurt after a while. It will start to feel very strong. So you find here, I can feel resistance. I'm just going to hold this. My body's going to get heavier the longer time I spend here, and as a result, it's going to start to, body's going to almost invite me to go deeper into the pose. So find your appropriate depth. Soften the outer muscles, your second principle, muscles soften. Resolve to remain still. So find a position that enables you to find stillness in the pose. And hold for a longer length of time. So 3 minutes I've set for us to hold here. We're already almost halfway through. Breathing into the upper back, a calming forward fold. You might send the breath into the upper back. And just notice how the body softens the longer you spend in the pose. That invitation, especially on the out breath. The out breath, sometimes you feel you want to let go a little bit more. Posture sometimes can start to feel stronger the longer you're in it, so you might need to ease back. So if you might not feel the invitation to go deeper, you might need to come back out of the pose. So really is it's your practice. You see what feels good for you. What we're doing is creating space. We're stretching deeply on a very deep level. We're helping the chi, the energy to flow freely around the body, get stuck in different parts of the body. Where we feel tension in the body, the energy is considered to be stagnant. There's considered to be stagnation in these tight areas of the body. When we encourage blood to flow into these areas that feel stuck, then we're opening up, we're allowing the chi to flow freely. That makes us feel, encourages us to feel more comfortable in the body. So we're almost there. Breathing, aware of sensations. Okay, that's your 3 minutes already. We're just going to ease slowly out. So you can see actually 3 minutes. It's not very long at all. I think I actually hold my students a lot longer than this in class, but just for the purposes of an introductory yin practice and maybe something that's not too long, it'd be easier then to fit in. 3 minutes, it's fine. Okay, what we're going to do next, we're just going to counterpose. I had a kind of vague plan. I didn't have I didn't have an exact plan, but you should feel that these postures kind of fit really nicely together. Always nice to counter pose, so where, especially when you have a really strong forward bend, is that, possibly I can feel that quite strongly in my back. A nice way to counter pose is just to bring the feet. I'll give you two options. You can come into seated fish, so your hands are behind either. What kind of seems to be half and half, what people feel comfortable with. Fingers pointing in or fingers pointing away. So see what feels comfortable. You can see that we're taking the spine in the opposite direction, so coming into a gentle back bend. So you're lifting the chest, press into the feet, into the hands. Gaze might be forward, gaze might be up. If you want to feel it a little bit more, you can lift the bottom, so you come into more of a hammock pose. So bottom comes up, again, might be here, might be a little bit higher. You can feel the stretch into the upper arms. Again, gaze might be forward, gaze might be up. And I'm releasing my low back, as you are, obviously, whichever position you've chosen. You've got a little bit of yang coming into the tissues, waking up the tissues, and then slowly back down. That feels good. So you only need to take a few breaths if you're coming into a counter pose. Okay, also this is my favourite. Right, again, I'm giving you lots of options. I know it's taking time to set up the poses, but it's important to find what's comfortable for your body. This is my favourite. You can even do this in isolation. At the end of a day, when your back is just feeling, you feel like you've been all stooped forwards, maybe you've been sat at the desk, everything feels tight. This is a beautiful one to open up the chest, to create space. It's a heart opener. You're working with the meridians a little bit more into the upper body. I know I haven't really spoken about the meridians in this session. In Yin Yoga, you're working a little bit more with Chinese rather than Indian philosophy, so that rather than focusing overly on energy centers and chakras, we're talking about chi rather than prana. We're talking about the meridians moving through the body. But I'll save that for a different session. I just really wanted to keep this really simple and connect with the feel of the practice. There will be other opportunities to talk about the meridians and a little bit more of the philosophy with Yin Yoga. Two fish, supported fish. How we do it in class is to have one block to support the head, so lengthwise, you can see. One block to kind of, if you can kind of see, it's not going to be here, it's going to be across the shoulder blades. I can't give you exact positionings because everybody's body is different, so you need to find what feels comfortable for you. So I'll just show you kind of quickly here. So it's coming, my head is supported, okay, my chest is raised in this position. It's kind of sitting around my shoulder blades here. So that's the positioning if you're using blocks. If you're using rolled up blankets, this wouldn't be enough. You need two rolled up blankets like this, or a bolster. So the blankets are with the same aim. You need to kind of double up with the blankets really. You would kind of have your back slack, but let me find out what feels comfortable. Yeah, it's the same kind of position. I've got different bolsters. Yeah, my low back is kind of free here. You can see I'm lifted through the chest, so it's opening my heart. My head is slightly lower than the heart. Yeah, my heart is slightly lifted here. I'm not sure whether you're more likely to have blocks or a bolster at home, but find what works for you. So either or, the idea, and as you can see, it's a similar position to Matsyasana in our Hatha practice, our fish pose in Hatha. I'm mentioning Hatha from the point of view that most people, if they're coming to yoga, will have practiced Hatha. So it's a familiarity and a crossover. So in both, or in either option, blanket, bolster or blocks, your low back is free, so nothing's under the low back. The chest is lifted, the head is supported. You can feel this expanse across the front of the body. The shoulders are kind of opening. Options for arm placement, if there's space, again I've not left myself a lot of room, you can bring the arms into a T shape. They can come up overhead. This is really nice to get into the upper meridians in the body. You're opening through the inner arms, obviously the shoulders across the chest, but that might feel too open for the shoulders. So find what's comfortable, can just stay by the side. Legs can stay extended as it is. If you're open or wanting to open a little bit more through the hips, you can come into reclining butterfly. Again, that might start to feel quite strong. So find what's comfortable for you. So we're taking time. I'm just going to sit. I'm going to say 3 minutes, but we can always say they're a bit longer. 3 minutes as a guide to do at least. So I'm just going to come back to a classic positioning. I'm just going to have my legs extended, my arms just by the side, palms facing up, nice and open across the chest. And bring your awareness to the breath. Supported with this. Breathing in and out through the nose. Feel how open and expansive it feels across the chest. Long breaths in, extending the exhalation. Find that stillness in the pose. Soften the outer muscles, really relax the body. Using the bolster, the blanket or the blocks, it just helps to open across the front of the body. Stretching deeply, deeper than the muscles, fascia, releasing connective tissues. The whole body relaxes. Mind can stay with the breath or just be aware of sensations in the body. And stay in the present moment. Focus on breath, focus on body. Maybe there's that sinking feeling, that invitation to let go, allow yourselves to let go in. Very much it is a practice to enable you to let go, to find stillness. Breathing in, I know I am breathing in, breathing out. I know I am breathing out. Awareness of the inhalation, awareness of the exhalation. Feel the ground beneath you, parts of the body in contact with the mat, with the floor. And just relaxing. Checking almost there, 15 more seconds. As I said, this is my favourite yin posture. I'm sure you can feel why that is, and my students in class love this one. This and supported bridge, you can just allow yourselves to be. So just staying as you are, I'm just going to turn off this countdown. And in order to come out, so depending where your legs are, you might be in butterfly. If you're in butterfly, just draw the knees together. If your arms are overhead, obviously bringing the arms back out to the sides, bringing the arms back to center. If your legs are straight, extended, we're going to bend the knees up. The easiest way to come out, and the safest way to come out of the pose, if you're on blocks especially, is to just roll to the side. So you roll off the bolster, off the blocks, and you're just bringing yourself slowly and carefully back up to, well, we're going to come to laying actually. We're just going to move the props out of the way. Maybe I'll just put that there. It's not blocking the view. And you no doubt are ready to just come down, and we're almost at relaxation or more relaxation, Shavasana. So we'll come to laying. We're just going to twist it with a gentle twist, I think. Just feet mat width apart. We're just going to let the knees go to the right side. Again, arms might just be to the sides. And they might be out to shoulder height. Feel that lovely stretch across the hip, across the thigh. If you feel you need to release the back a little bit more, just bring the knee a little bit higher, and you can come more similar to what we did at the beginning, so the knees are coming a little bit higher. So your choice really. And just see how your spine feels. And then coming back to center, let's just give the knees a hug for a moment. Supported fish, it is a back bend. It's a supported heart opener, supported back bend. So it is quite nice to draw the knees in. We're going to bring the knees to the other side. So again, maybe if you did end up with the knees a little bit higher, you can start from the knees to chest. Otherwise, if you were a little gentler, feet mat width apart, just letting the knees flop to the sides. I'm a little bit tight to the wall here. Arms to the sides, to shoulder height if there's space. Again, we're getting a little bit more stretching into the hip, into the thigh here. If you want to get more into the spine, draw that knee up. So a little bit more like our opening twist. Head relaxes, upper body relaxes, shoulders connected. And then coming back to center. Okay, hugging the knees in. And then we're going to come to Shavasana from here. I actually feel quite chilly as I am. So I am going to use my blanket. If you've got socks or a zip up or something, putting that on now would be good. If you're warm, you don't need to, but I do feel a little bit chilly. I'm just going to make the most of it. I wasn't intentionally all purple, but everything ended up purple today. Doesn't have to be matching, obviously. We're not using props now. We want the back of the body in contact with the mat. So you should feel coming down to laying, always a favourite part of any yoga session. It's not easy for everyone to be still, but if you've made it this far through the yin practice, I would imagine you're quite like me, quite yin in nature and happy to relax. So feet can be mat width apart even. Let the toes flop open. Covered up my feet so you can't see. Toes can flop open, legs hip width wider apart. If there's any discomfort in the low back, you feel free to bend the knees, that's fine as well. So you just find a position that is comfortable for you. I even have some people laying on their bellies, if that's comfortable, or on your side, any problem. So comfortable position, arms just by the sides. Try not to skip this part. This is, I know you might be busy, but Shavasana is allowing the body to process what has gone on before. We're very grounded in yin anyway. So I just turn that bit off. So we're just going to allow the breath to settle, or use the breath to settle the body. Palms facing up, if the arms by the sides, a nice open gesture. Follow the breath in. Following the breath out. And just allow the body to feel heavy. Sometimes you think you're relaxed. And then you notice on the out breath, just let everything go. Arms heavy, legs heavy, back of the head heavy. Jaw relaxes, cheeks soften, forehead softens. Just really be aware of that draw down to the earth. Top of the head even relaxes. And feeling it as a wave moving down through the body, softening neck, throat, shoulders, really relaxing the shoulders, adjusting your position if you need to, letting that flow down the center line of the body. Heart relaxes, chest softens. Soften around the belly, belly button, navel area, abdomen, the hips and the pelvis. Feeling heavy, bottom heavy, the thighs relax. Let the knees relax. The lower legs relax. Ankles, heels, the weight of the heels pressing into the mat. Toes relax. Whole body relaxed. Enjoying the stillness, the silence. Subtle sensations in the body, the energy settles in Shavasana. Maybe you can even feel your heart beating, your tummy rumbling, all sorts of sensations. It's allowing yourselves to be. If you find yourself, maybe you've drifted off, you've missed the coming back round, that's fine. It's done what it was meant to do. If you're still with me, just starting to bring your awareness back to the breath first of all. So breathing in and out through the nose. Starting to take deeper breaths in, so slightly deeper breaths in. And then exhale, relaxing. Again, breathing in. Letting go on the out breath, and then just gently starting to bring your awareness, movement back into the body. So moving the fingers, moving the toes, maybe easing the head, the neck, head side to side. At least it's the neck at the same time. And then any movements that feel good. Knees to the chest, full body stretch. You don't want to knock anything over. Full body stretch if that feels good, pointing the toes. Maybe hugging the knees in. And rock from side to side if that feels good. And then you're just going to slowly we'll make your way back to sitting. So we're going to rock ourselves up. To remove as snug and warm that is. We're just going to close just with a Namaste really. We'll just bring the hands to prayer at the heart center. Just taking a couple of breaths in. I'm going to thank you for joining me in this practice today. I hope you feel relaxed. You eased out through the body a little. So we'll just bring the thumbs to the brow center. Open mind, back down to the heart center, open heart. Namaste. Okay, thank you.